Morten, you're one of our lead developers here at TimeXtender, and you were our lead developer for the Snowflake integration. So I just have a couple of questions around our Snowflake integration that hopefully you'll be able to answer for us and for our audience.
Yep.
So can you describe the technical process and maybe think in a more non-technical person like me, around integrating Snowflake into TimeXtender's architecture?
Sure. So before we started the work, no one really knew much about Snowflake, and our initial assignment was actually also to add Snowflake as a storage type in the ODX. We started researching, and we realized that that might not make as much sense as we maybe thought initially. So instead of doing it for the ODX, we chose to make it as a type as of a data warehouse instead. So yeah.
Very good. I think that makes sense. And I think it'd be good for me to also understand when, once you'd made that decision, thinking about the architecture or the design choices that you made at that time and why you chose some of those.
Yeah, so we wanted to support Snowflake as soon as possible. And because of that, we also tried to implement what we already knew from the SQL servers. So we tried basically to do it like a one-to-one. So what we had in SQL, we wanted to import into Snowflake as well. So that was the idea behind it all. And that worked most of the time, but of course, with the two languages not being 100% identical, we needed to rewrite a lot of stuff. But yeah, that's what we chose to do.
Yeah, and that sounds quite challenging. So, were there any other particular challenges that you encountered when you were trying to integrate Snowflake with TimeXtender?
Well, I think the biggest challenge was actually transforming the SQL scripts into the SnowSQL scripts. I think mostly because of lack of knowledge about the SQL scripting, or not SQL scripting, Snowflake scripting, which often resulted in a lot of errors when we tried to do the script or run the scripts. And we we didn't really get the best error messages, so it was a lot of trial and error, and often it basically said nothing about what was wrong, right? So when we finally figured out, oh, it might be this part, we changed that, then we just got a new error message saying basically the same. Like there's an error somewhere, but yeah. So there's a lot of trial and error, but we got there eventually.
Quite a difficult process to go through.
Yes.
Yeah. And what about compromises? So in the development process, were there any compromises that you had to make?
Yes, there were. So as we wanted it to go out as soon as possible, we also, like I said, did it the SQL way. So incremental load, for instance, we just did that like we do on the SQL server, where Snowflake actually offers some built-in features such as not Snowflake, incremental load, and that's one way of doing it, and we do it the way we do it on SQL Server. So, yeah.
Brilliant. And I guess it's something the customers can decide if they want to use our incremental load or Snowflake's incremental load functionality.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's automated right in the tool, within the tool.
Yeah.
And if they want to use it themselves, well, that's a manual thing to do afterwards.
Yeah, makes sense. And I'm interested to know, is there anything fun or interesting that you found when developing the Snowflake integration?
I mean, it's always fun and interesting to work with new technology, although very frustrating at times as well. But I mean, in general, it's just working with new technology is always interesting. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for developing the Snowflake integration. It's something that I know our customers and our partners are excited to see.
You're welcome.